particularly tax, many people have no idea. I mean, when you go to the university to study criminology, you have heard about murder, you have heard about refugee being arrested. But tax, like for us, when we entered, we thought it was about the rate tax. We had never heard about anything like income tax. I actually think that tax is not a boring practice. That can't be true. Because you see, tax, every sector is affected. It might be a land transaction, it might be a family transaction, it might be a company transaction.
What have been your top 2 cases, I should say?
I would have wanted to mention more, but let me mention those that influenced legislative change. I think the future of tax practice is the brightest because as the economy grows and as we venture into other transactions, and as the tax body becomes more and more sophisticated, more and more resourced, we are going to see, and as even the taxpayers are becoming more and more informed.
Hello everyone, a good afternoon ladies and gentlemen. This is a continuation of the second edition of the Tax Nights. But firstly, we are immensely grateful to each single one of you that made the time to attend our second edition. We can't wait to have you at our third and our subsequent editions. Unfortunately, we were unable to complete our guest speakers, a candid talk. Very many of us came in very excited and yearning to listen to his amazing life story. But Mr. Luswata, being the kind gentleman that he is, he has offered us an opportunity to have a special shooting. So this is simply a continuation of our previous second edition of the Tax Nights. So ladies and gentlemen, we're honored to have Mr. Luswata once again. Mr. Joseph Luswata, you're very welcome to the Tax Hub.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing with our second edition of the Tax Nights, and we're here to simply listen to Mr. Joseph Luswata's amazing story. So Mr. Joseph Luswata, very many attendees came in excited to listen to you, and very many of them asking, first things first, who is Mr. Joseph Luswata?
I'm called Joseph Luswata. I have a third name that I gave myself, the name of Barry, because it is a name from my clan, and I was a fan of Barry Francis, the news anchor of the 90s. So some people may not know, but I have a third name, which is a silent name. Yeah, I am an advocate of 24 years standing, an advocate of the High Court of Uganda. My education, I have a degree in law from Makerere University, 1999. Then a master's degree in commercial law from the University of Cambridge, 2003. Then, of course, I have a diploma in the legal practice of Law Development Center, 2000. And I have a diploma in taxation from the East African School of Taxation, 2009. So that's me, Joseph Luswata. I'm a partner at S&L Advocates since 2006. I head the tax practice of S&L Advocates, and I'm also in the litigation department, S&L Advocates.
Thank you very much, Joseph. That is a very elaborate and a comprehensive CV and career that you've since built. So Joseph, just walk us down the memory lane. How was it for you? How did you venture into this legal practice? Was it something you grew up knowing I would be a lawyer? At what point did you think of venturing into legal practice?
I didn't think of being a lawyer until very late. Initially, I wanted to be a priest, Catholic priest. I actually went and did an interview to be enrolled in the seminary in Bucharest in 1988. And they said I'd failed. I think I'd failed because when I look back at the questions and having known the answers, I tried again to go back to the seminary at O level. I wrote, they didn't respond, and then again at A level, they didn't respond. So my auntie, who is the sister of my mother, is a medical doctor, and my mother used to talk about her. So my initial interest, having lost the opportunity to be a priest, I now wanted to be a medical doctor. My performance in science was good in some of them, but I had a weakness in mathematics, and I didn't think I would pass to become a medical doctor. So although my performance in arts was very good, so I went into arts. So two people influenced my choice of the law course. A teacher in A level, who was a friend of a person who was a lawyer at that time, a gentleman called Ngavirano, who was a chief magistrate. And this teacher said the real course you should do is law. And then my father, his friend, a gentleman who passed on this year, John Baptist Kakoza, was a lawyer and was a company secretary of NSSF. So my father kept saying, you be a lawyer. He actually didn't want me to be a priest. He wanted me to be a lawyer. So having passed arts in O-level, I went to the university and studied law. But initially I was not keen on being a lawyer. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was not keen on being a lawyer. But once I was in the course, I became very, very interested. Yes.
Oh, very interesting.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the church lost you, but the tax and legal practice, we got you over there.
I'm a Catholic. I serve the church as a lawyer.
Oh, interesting. Yes. Thank you very much, Joseph. So yes, Joseph, fast forward. So how then do you venture and enter legal practice? Was it you've risen through the ranks at S&L? Was it a thing that you applied and started? How did you then venture and start out legal practice?
When we were studying right through university and and I didn't think I would come to a law firm like S&L. It just happened when I was in Law Development Center. I'd not got a clerkship place. Initially, I thought when I finished studying, I would probably go back to my hometown in Masaka and look for a job there because I didn't know anybody in the city. I just didn't understand that there was a lot of opportunities for lawyers, particularly those who had done well in school. So one day towards, I think we must have been, we were about 3 weeks to go to begin clerkship. And Lady Justice Nakacha, who was then teaching legal drafting in Law Development Center, came around in the auditorium and asked whether everybody had got clerkship. And had not got clerkship place that time. It was only about 3 weeks to the beginning of the clerkship. So she said there was a friend of hers in a big law firm who wanted the good people to go and do clerkship there. Of course, I accepted. Then she said, go and see Sefgen in S&L Advocates. It was about 2:30. By about 3 o'clock, I was in S&L Advocates at East African Development Bank. I met James and I was given a place as a clerkship student. Of course, there was John Mike Msisi, who is now a judge. He was our professional advisor. He must have spoken for me also. So I got a place. And when I came here, we were 4 of us. I determined that I would stay here. So I was competing with the other 3 people. The other 3 people for who would be recruited. We knew that they would retain one. So one of them got a scholarship to go and study in Cambridge. Another one also got a scholarship to go and study in South Africa. Another one was not interested in legal practice. So that's how I stay in the S&L Advocates. That is 2000. So that's how I come to S&L Advocates. That's how I begin my practice in a prestigious firm like S&L.
Thank you very much, Joseph. That is a very inspiring and humble story. And kudos to those teachers and lecturers of us who continue to guide us and also see to it that we prosper. So, Joseph, tax practice is something you apply your trade at S&L. So at what point did you then venture into tax practice?
I had studied the tax law in the university, although in the university they teach very little of the tax law. They teach only bits of income tax. And the reason we studied income tax the reason I studied income tax in Makere is because I looked at a job in the Uganda Revenue Authority, mainly because Uganda Revenue Authority was one of the best paying employers of that time. Many students actually never wanted to do tax law because during our time, there was still government sponsorship at Law Development Center, and it was based on performance. So tax was considered to be difficult, and therefore it could easily compromise your chances of being among the best to be sponsored. Because the state used to sponsor only 60 students, and my class were 83. When you add on the people who were in the evening class, we were almost 150. So we were competing for 60 places. So that affected the number of people enrolling for the tax class. So the tax class had very few people, but my motivation was so that I get employed in URA. Fast forward comes to my desire to go and get a second degree from Cambridge. Again, tax was one of those courses that the sponsors wanted to put money in because that's one area where they wanted to give resources to Uganda. So I advanced tax as something I'm interested in. and I was able to get funding. But when I returned, I had a lot of work to do elsewhere. So it was until 2009 that my client started consulting about tax, and I felt I didn't have sufficient knowledge and experience to help. So I enrolled in Athena School. There was some coincidence. He started the school in 2009. I enrolled and studied, and so that I am able to provide my clients with a wholesome solution. Yeah. So that's how I ventured into tax. Some years after I started practice. Yes.
Thank you very much, Joseph. I think very many of us resonate with that story.
Yeah.
Very many of us building career in tax. Tax education and qualification is very paramount.
Yes.
But Joseph, maybe someone will ask, why tax? Why not practicing land or commercial transactions or corporate law? Why tax?
So I'd done all those because here I had been exposed to most of those things. The only practice that was missing and becoming irrelevant at that time was tax. I must add that the reason the clients started contacting me on tax issues is because URA was becoming more and more sophisticated. It was beginning to become an issue for them, our clients, and we were serving them in the other areas except that area. So I said to do tax. I didn't abandon the others. I said to do tax as along the way with the others. So I'd done all the other practices, but tax, as I said, my clients were requesting that we are beginning to have issues with tax. I'd studied it, so it was time to apply it. Yes.
Thank you very much, Joseph. I think that's a lesson for all of us. You have to be relevant in your workspace. So if tax was a thing, then it still is. Thank you very much, Joseph. Joseph, then also in your illustrious career, you ventured into the academia at some point. So I just want to pick on your rich mind. What was your inspiration for joining the academia? What was your experience teaching? We were where you taught at the School of Law. You taught taxation and revenue. So what was your basis for joining the academia? What was your experience in there?
Generally, I like teaching. I think that I can, and I think I am a good teacher. I like teaching, but it was also a condition of the scholarship when I went to Cambridge that I give back to community. One way of giving back to community is teaching. As you know, now I think the pay is better, but at that time we were paid very little money. So it was more of giving back to the community. So I was fulfilling a scholarship condition, but also my personal desire as an individual. And I went to Makerere to teach in 2006. And I taught tax, I taught criminal law up to 2012. Then in 2012, I had an issue with a child which required me to take leave. And unfortunately, the university refused to give me study leave, or to give me leave, unpaid leave. They said they don't have anything like that. So they treated my application for leave as a resignation. When I returned in 2012, I tried to go back. I couldn't get back until 2017. So I taught again from 2017 to 2021. When the university said that they didn't want people on contract anymore, so I left teaching. But teaching was a very good experience when you look at first of all, that area didn't have many people qualified in it, taxation. I think it was only me and Bachivinga and Moses Kagwa who had returned to the Ministry of Finance. Teaching is an interesting thing, especially when you see the product, when you pass over knowledge to young people. Particularly tax, many people have no idea. I mean, when you go to the university to study criminal, you have heard about murder, you have heard about basically being arrested. But tax, like for us, when we entered, we thought it was about good tax. We had never heard about anything like income tax. So when you are teaching tax, students are seeing things for the first time and interacting with the Income Tax Act, which is complex concepts. So it requires a lot of patience, and you see a lot of interest from students. Teaching keeps you knowledgeable about new issues and the current issues because you must prepare to go and teach. And it is very satisfying when you see your products occupying big offices. Yeah, I think that's how teachers, that was motivates teachers to continue teaching.
That's very true. Yes, Joseph makes a clarion call to all of us in practice. Very many of us shy from the academia, but let's consider the academia. Joseph, talking of experiences and the people that went through your gifted hands, are there any that you call possibly in practice right now? Are there any of your students that you can be like, oh, that one was my student?
Yeah.
Any that went through your gifted hands?
There are many outstanding. I begin with Akena. Akena, what's his second name? I forget his second.
Godfrey.
Godfrey Akena is my student. But then he taught me again around 2009 when he started his tax school. So he's one of the most prominent students I taught. There are many people in URA. Innocent Ngaruye, I think Assistant Commissioner.
Yes.
Domestic taxes. There is in the private practice, there is Edward Walaba in Max. There is Ronald Kalema in AF Mpanga. There is Sam Kahima, former lords of URA. There is Rita Zabali in PKF. There is, I've forgotten the others, but there are many. There is Rose Zakelo in URA. There's Bruce Musinguzi in the KAA. So I've been around for some time. There's quite a number. Others, I don't know them. I don't know them, but I know there are many. Those who went through Makerere between 2006 and 2012 and 2017 and 2022, those are my students. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Very Easton here.
Yes, thank you very much, Joseph. Very notable practitioners you made mention of in there.
Yes.
And I think to those who went through Joseph's hands, kudos, we see the good work very much.
There's Rose Nachiganda.
Oh.
Birungi Balata is among the prominent ones that I taught, yes.
Oh, very interesting. Very good track record of prominent.
Belinda
Belinda
Nachiganda, yes.
Thank you very much. At least a very notable list of esteemed students of Joseph. Thank you very much, Joseph. And I think, Joseph, if we bring it back to practice, so very many people claim tax practice is very boring, it's very complex. What has been your experience handling tax matters for this long period?
I actually think that tax is not a boring practice. That can't be true. Because you see, tax, every sector is affected. It might be a land transaction, it might be a family transaction, it might be a company transaction, everything. So it requires that you have knowledge of everything. It's just like litigation. So the tax practice I'm talking about is dispute resolution to begin with, but also advisory, because advisory comes from different angles. Litigation, tax disputes also come from different angles. So a tax lawyer, I think, is one who should know every other aspect of the law, just in case an issue arises from there. I can't think that therefore tax practice is boring. It is a practice that is very much based on the statute. The statute is lean. They don't talk much. So usually you are dealing with what does this mean? What does the other mean? What is meant by an institution of public character? Because the law has just stated it. So it's a subject that requires deep thinking and good skills in statutory interpretation and understanding of how those deals and the issues from which the tax has arisen have been structured. It can't therefore be boring. It's not almost every, okay, there are routine matters, but usually every situation presents a new issue. As you are aware, the tax law is amended every year. It's one of those laws that's amended every year, sometimes more than twice in a year. So it is a very live subject. New areas of transactions come on the scene all the time. Digital transactions, for example, how do we tax them? Now we are having petroleum transactions. How do we tax them? It's a very lively subject. I don't believe those who say that's boring. Maybe those who say it is difficult. I think, again, it's not difficult, but it's challenging. It's challenging. It requires deep reading. Like for us advocates, it requires finance, understanding of finance issues. I can't say that it's a boring practice.
Thank you very much. To that lady and gentleman out there who's thinking of exploring tax, you've heard it from Joseph. He has practiced tax for the last 24 years. Yes, he has practiced tax law for the last 16 years. So he has seen it all and implores each of you to consider career. So Joseph, very many of the people who attend the tax nights and who watch the tax hub podcast are the younger generation, and very many of them are interested in exploring a career in tax. So what are some of those top skills you've seen and you've garnered that you believe a tax consultant, a prominent one, should consider, should have? What are some of those top skills?
First of all, the legal knowledge, of course, because tax is law. But the law interacts with other disciplines. And one of the ones that I have found very relevant is finance, the accounts of the operations of the tax collector. For example, the ledger system, accounts as audited by audit firms, IT skills, because now we are operating in a digital age. Those skills, I think you need to understand them. If you have to be you must possess them if you have to be a successful tax practitioner. There's just no way of running away from them. So the legal knowledge of tax and other areas of tax, other areas of the law, IT skills, finance and audit skills, and generally the operations of the taxpayer. In addition to understanding the operations of your client, you have to understand the operations of your client. That's not only for tax, for any other law practice. Those four, you must have those skills. Yes.
Thank you very much. So anyone considering tax, you've had those four skills from Mr. Luswata. So Joseph, your name and also the firms is very prominent in some of the groundbreaking tax decisions we've had. So I just want to pick in from your rich, illustrious tax and legal practice. You've litigated very many cases. What are some of those 1-2 cases? Every litigator has that case they're very passionate about. What have been your top 2 cases, I should say?
I would have wanted to mention more, but let me mention those that influenced legislative change. One is International School of Uganda versus URA. That case went up to the High Court, and the issue was whether International School was an institution of public character. If it was an institution of public character, then its income would be exempt from taxation. When we litigated that case, the URA won at the tribunal, but then lost at the High Court. They went ahead to change the law and exempted institutions. They changed the language from institutions of public character to an institution which is not for profit. So I must say that I have had a direct impact on that legislative reform. The second one also caused the legislative reform. It was about whether what is motor vehicle lubricant. That was a case involving Vivo Energy and URA. What is motor vehicle lubricant? My client was importing oil for lubrication, which it classified as industrial grade, for lubrication of graders, lubrication of machine mining equipment, factories, fixed equipment for factories. And URA said this is motor vehicle. So the law, the excise duty provided for excise duty on motor vehicle lubricants. The issue was whether that other oil, which my client called industrial grade oil, was motor vehicle lubricant. So the court had to interpret what is a motor vehicle. Is a grade a motor vehicle? So when the URA lost the case, and they went ahead and changed the law to say that lubricants declared under this HSC code, now covering the industrial grade oil, is excisable. Just allow me to mention one other case, the famous case of whether rent and premium is deductible for tax purposes. That's also my case. It was a very involved case that at the tribunal, the tribunal commended both advocates for the industry in defending their respective clients' cases. I think those 3 cases, for me, are the most outstanding. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations to you, Joseph. And you're not just winning in the courtrooms, but you're also influencing policy and legislative change. That's very commendable. Then, Joseph, there's just one that very many people are very familiar with lately. It was the UAP ruling. Do you want to just speak to that as well? Because it's something very many people have congratulated you on, but also it's something that impacts our practice lately.
The UAP issue was about is a ruling that affects many people, including us as advocates, professional indemnity, workers' compensation, medical insurance, all sorts of group insurance, where the URA was saying that the stamp duty payable is stamp duty is payable for every person that is covered, and for every changes that you make to the policy. That, of course, was going to be a problem because the policy is to promote penetration of insurance. Now, when you make it costly from the tax point of view, so it was a very, I think it was a very useful decision as far as insurance is concerned, insurance business is concerned, because it was going to be a problem to the penetration of insurance, which is the policy of government to promote insurance. It would have been very, very costly if the decision had been otherwise. Yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations once again to you and the S&L.
At least the revenue board has not influenced the change in the law. I think they have understood that the decision is important for the other sector of the economy. Yes.
Oh yeah, congratulations to you, Joseph, and the S&L team on those amazing and fundamental wins. So Joseph, you lead the tax practice at S&L, and S&L being a tier 1 firm. So we just want to confirm, how does it feel leading the tax practice at S&L? Does it come with any pressures?
It is challenging. S&L is a tier 1 law firm, but the tax practice is just growing. So the rest of the departments are well developed. So there's pressure to try to get to the same level or even be ahead. So it doesn't come easily because you start a department and you want to see it grow and be sustainable. It comes with a lot of pressures, especially when you compare with the rest of the departments. It requires a lot of innovation, it requires a lot of resources, it requires a lot of patience and planning. It comes with a lot of pressure because you're in S&L, which is a leading law firm. You want your department to be leading at the same time.
Thank you very much. And I think, that goes to all of us. Wherever you are, tax practice comes with pressures and so many things that you have to deal with. So Joseph, then another thing that very many of the younger generation are kindly pondering is audit firms and law firms. Some of them have ventured into legal practice in an audit firm. Some of them are in law firms. Some of them want to crisscross. Being that you're a profound tax consultant and very many of us look up to you, what would be your take? What's your view on the dual practice lately?
The dual practice?
Yes.
I think I've not worked in an audit firm before. I don't know. But what I know is that the knowledge of the audit firm is useful for a tax practitioner. So a lawyer who is in an audit firm, I think that's a good starting point. If eventually you were to come into a law firm, you'll bring a lot of skills that the law firm may not have. A lawyer working in a law firm and doing practice and then crossing over to an audit firm would also go with some skills that a law firm would expose you to. For example, interpretation of the statute. That is something you learn from the law firm. You can learn it from the audit firm, but you're better off in the law firm. So crisscrossing, people who are in, my recommendation would be that you start from an audit firm before you become into the law practice. I think crossing from law practice to an audit firm can be a bit difficult because audit firms, many of them don't go to court, whereas in a law firm you'd be going to court. So it would be more advantageous to start from the audit firm and cross to the law firm. But it is about knowledge. So nothing should stop you from crossing from the law firm into the audit firm, because our approach in tax practice differs in many ways. The audit firms, in my view, in Uganda seem to have more exposure in structuring and auditing, tax auditing, compared to the lawyers. The lawyers sort of lean too much on advisory and dispute resolution, whereas the audit firms get structuring transactions, which the law firms may not have a chance unless they deliberately do so. Yes.
All right. Thank you. And to anyone who wanted career guidance in tax, Mr. Luswata just gave you very good, candid career guidance there. So then, Joseph, you've risen through the ranks. You've risen to become a partner at S&L. You've taught at the Makerere School of Law. Is there anything on a personal level you feel you've not done in your tax career that you're looking forward to? That's on a personal note.
I don't know whether it's personal, maybe from a professional standpoint. I have not litigated a petroleum taxation. I have not handled it. I look forward to one such opportunity. I've handled tax issues for people in the petroleum sector, but not pure petroleum. It is withholding tax or VAT on expatriates that came for exploration. But I'm looking forward to a real petroleum dispute like the Heritage case and other similar cases that have arisen.
Oh, thank you. And borrowing off your wins in all these other matters, we're very sure if you chanced on one, it will be success. Yeah. So we can't wait. Then, Joseph, just to wrap it up, being that you've been in legal and tax practice for quite a very long while, we just want to pick in your rich mind. What is the future of tax practice? From where you've seen it come and go, you've seen very many things and very many dynamics come into play. Just from where you sit, where do you see, what do you anticipate? What is the future of tax practice?
I think the future of tax practice is the brightest because as the economy grows and as we venture into other transactions and as the tax body becomes more and more sophisticated and more resourced, we are going to see, and as even the taxpayers are becoming more and more informed, we are going to see a lot of transactions. I can compare with the volume of work 10 years ago in tax law, tax practice, even the tax appeals tribunal, even the URA generally, and I can see a potential growth, an exponential growth in that area. So I think tax practice is going to become more, is going to be one of the best practices that one can venture into. More and more lawyers are getting trained and getting interested. But more and more work is coming through. The size of the transaction is becoming bigger. The tax body is becoming more vigilant. The taxpayers are becoming more aware of the issues. So I think tax practice has a very bright future. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. Joseph paints a very good picture for us. And yeah, we who are in practice, definitely there's a reason to stay in there. Ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap it up for our discussion with Mr. Luswata. There's a lot we could have unpacked, but in the interest of time, we have to keep it there. But thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Luswata. We're very honored to have had your time. He made the time to attend the tax nights. He has shared with us his illustrious and inspiring story. And we hope you and I are able to pick a thing or two from Mr. Joseph Luswata's immense career. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And also our gratitude to the S&L team. Very many of them attended the tax nights. They've been on the podcast. They're very good friend of the Tax Hub. So thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Luswata. And we look forward to having each single one of you at our next edition of the Tax Nights so that we can keep having such inspiring stories, so that we can keep harnessing skills, networking, and growing our practice. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps it up for our discussion.